Thanks for tuning into this edition of Mommy Minute. Have you ever talked to your mom about what were the circumstances around your birth? I ask my mom all the time, and she tells me it was a windy day. So windy that she almost named me Mariah. But she didn't, because she said God told her to name me Charity, because I would be love and joy to all those around me. That's my birth story. With my girls, I remember their birth story, and I try to tell it to them as much as possible. For one, I birthed at home, and it was early in the morning. The sun was just coming up. It was really quiet out. For the other, I birthed in a hospital, and I remember holding her and crying, her nursing immediately. I remember both of those stories so vividly, and both of them are special. You know, as mothers, we have to stop being so judgmental of others in their journey. Whether you decide to be 100% natural or use every bit of medicine they offer you, you are important, Mom, because you're bringing a life into this world. Check out this special birth story, and I'll get back with you afterwards.
Everybody reads the What to Expect When Expecting book. Unless I missed it, they definitely need a part in there about high-risk pregnancy and what to do when you're on bed rest. I just moved to Atlanta. I started a new job. Everything was going great, and surprisingly enough, I became pregnant. Definitely was nervous, felt blessed. You hear all these stories of, oh, you're gonna glow when you're pregnant, you're gonna have all these weird cravings, your feet will get swollen, angels are gonna be singing behind you, and your nose will get big, float on water, but it's gonna be the best time of your life. I was at work. It was just a regular day, in sports fields, was on my feet, and definitely felt a little weird. Went to the hospital. Didn't have the best experience. Basically was told I was having a late term miscarriage. I cried all night thinking that, God, why would you give me this wonderful blessing but then take it away from me so soon? There was a lot happening at once. Was put in the hospital, hooked up to a whole bunch of medication, sticky pads, things that monitor the baby's heart rate and your heart rate, and basically was told that if I didn't pretty much sit still, calm my nerves, stay off my feet, that I was going to lose my child. But my doctor told me that I literally sat still, laid down in a bed, hooked up to machines for about a month. In the hospital for a month, it is more than physically draining, it's mentally draining. I think my mind played so many tricks on me. What if she doesn't make it? What do I tell my friends? What about my family? How do I face people at work? What if she comes out and she has something wrong with her? I want her to still feel confident in herself. How would I be able to work? She could be just fine and God could just be putting me through a test. I learned to really appreciate just being still and being in the moment. Also learned to appreciate asking for help and having people there to support you. It was definitely a very humbling experience, but I knew that it was for the best because at the end of the day, I was doing this all for my daughter. So the stay in the hospital worked. They were able to stop the contractions. I had only dilated about a centimeter or two, but I definitely had a long, it was about 4 months ahead of me. Pretty much had to be on bed rest until it was time for me to have my daughter. Even any type of emotion, whether too much laughing, too much crying, anything like that, jump-started contractions for me. I think I definitely went through a little bit of depression. I mean, just being by yourself, not really talking to anyone, not really having that interaction. I couldn't work anymore, lost my job, I still had bills that I needed to pay. It was just a lot that was on my shoulders. And for it being your first time being pregnant, you know, all the expectations, I think they put that in your mind, so when you do anything or have anything else happen to you that's not that, you almost get mad at yourself and think, what did I do wrong? That bubble was kind of popped for me. If you didn't sit still, if you didn't go to a doctor every week to have an ultrasound, to have them, you know, check on the baby, that the chances were that you might lose her. So the one thing that I did appreciate during the whole bed rest experience was just the way that some of my line sisters came towards the end of my pregnancy and still were able to give me somewhat of a baby shower. It was definitely an emotional time for me just because, and I'm emotional now. So time. I think I couldn't even talk just because they knew everything that I had gone through, and to get to where I was and to finally make it to 38 weeks and them telling me that Kennedy, if she did make it because of the amount of medication that I had and because of the stress on her, that she would probably be born blind and or deaf. The time comes to have my daughter, and I think we had everybody praying for us, and the heart rate would go up, the heart rate would go down, and I think all the medications, took shots of steroids to help her lungs develop to ensure that she could come out as healthy as she could. Labor comes. Kennedy was born on December 23rd, 2006 at 12:11 a.m. and she was perfect. She was perfect. She was crying, had life in her eyes, had healthy lungs, fingers, 10 toes. She was everything that they said she wouldn't be. Everything that I'd gone through was definitely worth it. She was my little girl. She's Kennedy. Looking at her, you would never know how difficult it was for her to make it to where she is today. They tell you that you find that motherly instinct even before you have children, and I think God knows what you can handle.
Since my first experience, I've had experience number 2 with Kendall Elise, and that pregnancy was wonderful. She gave me no trouble. Life is good. We are blessed, and
That's my story.
Wasn't that beautiful? And what a great story. You know, one of the things that I've challenged myself as a mom to stop doing is to stop being so judgmental of other mothers' journeys. We can look at people who say they're going to go natural and try to scare them. Girl, you're going to do what? I would never do that. Or someone who is going to use all the medicine and go, oh, what? You're going to do that? I would never do that. We just need to be supportive of mothers. So here's the challenge. I want you this week to be an encouragement to another pregnant mom out there. When you see them in the grocery store, say congratulations. When you see them out getting out their car, ask them if you can help them with anything. Be a sister to a welcoming mom this week. Don't tell them about your trauma or your pain. Don't tell them about your story. Help them create their own story of encouragement by being a light to them and welcoming them to this wonderful sisterhood of being a mother. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Mommy Minute, and stay tuned for the next time. Thanks.